Hello guys, this is lesson 6.5, the law of sines. I hope you guys are enjoying some time at home. I hope you are resting and staying relaxed and healthy. If you hear anything in the background, it's my kids. They're having a tea party, so I apologize in advance. But today we're talking about the law of sines. And you guys have seen this before. You've seen this in geometry. You saw it in algebra 2. If any of you had pre-calculus, you saw it there as well. So the law of sines is just this. It is a proportion. It's a ratio between the sine of an angle and the side length that it corresponds to it. So if you have a question like this, it says a satellite is orbiting Earth, passes directly overhead an observation station in Phoenix, Los Angeles, 340 miles apart, and instantly when the satellite is between these two stations, the angle of elevation is simultaneously observed as 60 degrees and 70 degrees. How far is the satellite from Los Angeles? So what you guys are looking at is they gave us a whole bunch of information. What they're asking for right here is Los Angeles, and here is the satellite. So what is the distance from here to here? Does everybody see that? Okay, so they gave us some information that we can use. We know that the satellite is up here at angle C. The distance from here to here, from Los Angeles to Phoenix, is 340. So I'm going to redraw this triangle so I can just kind of see what everything looks like without having all of this other stuff going on. So I can just kind of isolate what's going on. So here's what I'm looking for. I want to find this side right here. We'll call this side B. All right, this is angle A. This is side A. How far is the satellite from Los Angeles? We are trying to find this piece of information right here. Now, this is not a right triangle, so we can't use right triangle. We have to use the law of sines. So what we're going to do first of all is figure out what degree measure this angle is. And the way that we would do that is how many degrees in the whole triangle? Well, there's 180 degrees in the entire triangle. I know that one angle of this triangle is, one angle is 75. I know the other angle is 60, and then I don't know what that last angle is. So if we just set up a simple equation, we can figure out what that missing angle is. So I could just say, okay, 75 and 60 is 135 plus x equals 180. Then I'm going to subtract 35 from both sides. 135, I'm sorry. And I know that x equals 45 degrees. So angle C, y'all, is 45 degrees. Now, if I'm looking to find side B, I need an angle and its corresponding side length so I can use the law of sines. So right here, I have 340 and 45 degrees. So I can say that the sine of 45 over 340 equals the sine of B, or sine 60, over side B, because this is what I'm looking for. And this is just a proportion, so we solve. When we solve, we cross multiply. So I have 340 times the sine of 60 equals B times the sine of 45. So in order to get B all by itself, we're going to divide both sides by the sine of 45. Sine 45. Again, make sure your calculator, guys, is in degrees. And I get B equals about 416.4 feet. Or miles, I'm sorry. What was that again? Okay, guys, in this case, they're asking us to solve the triangle. That means we have to figure out angle B, side B, angle A. And we can do that a variety of ways. First thing I want to do is figure out what the measure of angle B is. I know that there's 180 degrees in a triangle. So when I add the other two, 20 and 25, I get 45. So if I say 180 minus 45, I get 135 degrees. So I know the angle B is 135 degrees. So now I can just use my law of sines because I have a proportion. I have an angle and its corresponding side that I can use. So I'm going to use that to set up the rest of my triangle solution. So I'm going to say the sine of 25, sine C, angle C over side C, so 80.4 equals, and let's just say we want to find side A. So angle A is 20, so I'd say sine 20 over A. And again, we just have a proportion, So we'll cross multiply. I have 80.4 times the sine of 20 equals A times the sine of 25. Divide both sides by the sine of 25. And again, guys, remind yourself you should be in degrees. So A is about 65.06. Now I'm going to do the exact same thing, but I'm going to solve for side B. So I'm going to use the same proportion that I started off with at the beginning that they gave us. I'm going to say sine of 25 over 80.4. And this time I'm going to find side B. So I'm going to use angle B, which is 135. So sine of 135 over B. And again, we cross multiply and do the exact same process. So you have 80.4 times the sine of 135 equals B times the sine of 25. I'm going to divide both sides by the sine of 25. Again, we're in degrees, don't forget, and B is approximately 134.52. And there we go, we solved the triangle. We solved for side B, side A, and angle B. Okay, in this case, they're telling us solve the triangle, and they're giving us certain sides, that sort of thing. But if you notice, guys, this is a 45, 45, 90. If this is 45, this is going to be 45, 45, 90. But they didn't tell us that, so we'll just go with what we have. They didn't give me my little triangle, or the little box in the corner, so we can't just assume. So if I'm going to solve this triangle, I have to find this angle, and this side. So I'm going to take what they gave me. They gave me side A and angle A. So I have sine of 45 over 7 root 2 equals sine of B. I don't know what it is. I have to find it over 7. So we'll just cross multiply. So 7 radical 2 times the sine of B equals 7 times the sine of 45. We want sine to be all by itself, so we're going to divide both sides by 7 radical 2. 7 radical 2. And we get the sine of B equals 0.5. Now we look at that and I say, okay, great, sine of B equals 0.5, but I'm not looking for 0.5. I don't want to know what the sine of the angle is. I want to know what the angle measure is itself. So if you guys remember from section 6.4, when we were looking for angles, we're going to use inverse trig. So I'm going to hit sine -1 on my calculator, and I'm going to put in 0.5 and see what I get. And my answer comes out that angle B is 30 degrees. So angle B is 30 degrees. So I'm glad we didn't assume that this was a 90-degree triangle, because if I add up these two measurements, I have 30 plus 45, well, what does that give me? 75. So if I take 180 minus 75, I know that angle C happens to be 105 degrees. So angle C is 105 degrees. So now we've solved for these two angles. We have angle B, we have angle C. So now let's find side C. So let's just use what we have and work from there. We have the sine of 30 over 7 equals sine of 105 over C. So now we're going to cross multiply. So 7 times the sine of 105 equals C times the sine of 30. Divide both sides by the sine of 30. And I'm looking for a side measure, so I don't use inverse. I'm going to use regular trig function. So I just put this in my calculator, and I get about 13.52. So there we go. We solved that triangle. Right, in this case, there is a possibility of two different triangles. I'll talk to you guys later about how we can figure that out and find our missing pieces and with just stuff presented. But if we look here, we have two triangles. I'm going to draw them separately. So I have triangle 1, I'll put right here. This is angle A. They tell me it's 43.1 degrees. They tell me that side B is 248.6. And they tell me that side A is 186 0.2. So if I'm going to find B and C and side C, I will use all of my little tricks with the law of sines that we've learned. We're going to find angle C, side B, angle C, and side C. So start with what they gave us. They gave us the proportion between the side and the angle measure of angle A. So I'm going to say sine of 43.1 over 186.2 equals, let's find angle B. So sine of B over 248.6. So when I cross multiply, I have 186.2 times the sine of B equals 248.6 times the sine of 43.1. Now I'm going to divide both sides by 186.2. 186.2, and I get the sine of B is 0.91225. That is not an angle measure, guys. That's the sine of the angle. So this is where you use, since we're looking for an angle, we use our second trig. We use our second sine. So it's 0.91225. Go ahead and put that in your calculator. And angle B measures about 68.82 degrees. So if I know that angle B is about 68.82 degrees, and I know what angle A is, I can add those two together and figure out what angle C is. So I'd say 186.2, just kidding, wrong number. Looking at the side. I would say 68.82 plus 43.1 gives me 111.92, and I would take 180 minus 111.92 and get 68.08 degrees. So angle C in this case is 68.08 degrees. And now to solve for side C, guys, do the exact same thing. I'm going to do my law of sines. I'm going to take the proportion that they gave me at the beginning. So sine of 43.1 over 186.2 equals sine of 68.08 over side C. We're going to cross multiply and solve. So C times sine 43.1 equals 186.2 times the sine of 68.08. Mommy's coming, hang on. I'm going to divide both sides by the sine of 43.1. And in my calculator, I get side C is about 252.81. So side C is about 252.81. Now, if we're going to solve for the second triangle, I'll get you guys set up, and then you guys can do it like you just did. My second triangle is going to look like this. So C is here, B is here, A. Okay, side A is still 186.2. Angle A is still 43.1. And then now I have to solve for here and here, given that side B is 248.6. All right, in this last case, there will be times, guys, when you get no solution. Obviously, in your test or quiz, it's not going to tell you, oh, this one's a no solution case, but you can figure it out. If I'm going to solve this triangle, I have to solve for what's missing. So I need to solve for C, I need to solve for B, and I need to solve for side C, which is right here. So the first thing I'm going to do is look at the proportion that they gave me. They gave me this proportion between angle A and side A. So I know that the sine of angle A is 42 and the length is 70. So I'm going to set up my proportion. I'm going to say, all right, I'm going to find angle B. So I have the sine of B over side B is 122. So again, we're going to do the exact same thing we've been doing. We're going to cross multiply. So 70 times sine of B equals 122 times the sine of 42. And then when I divide both sides by 70, I get the sine of B is about 1.1661. Now that's the sine of that angle. It's not the angle measure. So in my calculator, I'm going to hit second sine. That little sine negative 1 comes up, and I'm going to put in 1.1661 and hit enter. And when I do that, my calculator says error, domain error, syntax error, something like that. That doesn't mean you have the problem wrong. That means there is no solution to this triangle. This triangle doesn't really exist. So what you guys need to take away from, excuse me, what you need to take away from this is in the law of sines, you can get one solution where there's one triangle.
You can get two solutions where there's two triangles.
And then you can get
no solution. Say hi to everybody. Say hi. Tell them hi.
Where?
Mom's doing a video. You can say hello.
Just
say hello. They'll hear you. Say hello.
Hello.
You look so pretty. Give Mommy one more second. I'm almost done, okay? Sorry for that little cameo of Valentina's. Again, remember, if you're looking for sides, you're going to use sine, cosine, and tangent. When you're looking for angles, you're going to use arcsine, cosine, and arctangent, which in our calculators, that's the sine -1, cosine -1. Say hi. Reagan, tell everybody hi. Mommy's doing a video. Okay, tell everyone be safe. Stay home and study. Okay.
You guys
need anything, email me. Talk to you later.
And she's already 3 centimeters, so